It is wonderful to see so many faces out there to come out for this fantastic event we have for you today. So I'd like to thank a few people before we get started, and then I will introduce our speaker. So first, I would like to thank the City of Tullahoma and Tullahoma Parks and Rec. That's not because that's where I work, but just because we have this great venue to put this on. There was a lot of folks that were involved in making all of the little parts come together that work. I would also like to thank two other individuals that had a big part in putting this on today. Mr. Daniel Ray from the Coffee County Sheriff's Department. I don't know if Mr. Ray is here. Are you here? He is. He's back there in the back. Mr. Ray, thank you for your efforts in putting this together. And I would also like to thank Mr. Ed Hafer from the Black Rifle Coffee Company. And before you go this afternoon, thank you, Mr. Hafer. I appreciate you being here today. You'll notice over here on my left, there are several boxes of coffee from Black Rifle that they have donated to all of you for this event for coming out today. So feel free to grab some of the instant or the K-cups or a box, whatever you'd like to take with you when you leave today when we are finished. I would also like to thank the caterer, Tiffany Anderson from Mama Me Catering, for putting all that great food out there for us this afternoon. And one event I'd like to tell you about that happens to just coincide with this one is on March 29th. Some of you may know this already. The United States has marked March 29th as National Vietnam War Veterans Day. And the Daughters of the American Revolution and the American Legion Auxiliary are hosting an event at History Park. Some of you may know it as the Caboose downtown, on March 29th at 2 p.m. And I hope that you'll come down and join us for that marking of the occasion. So now I get to thank the guy that we're all here to see, our speaker today, Mr. Kenny Banks. And what I would like to tell you is a few things about him that you may not already know. So Mr. Banks was born right here in Tullahoma in July of 1950, and after graduating from Tullahoma High School in 1968, he was drafted into the U.S. Army in 1969. He was part of the U.S. Replacement Pacific Enlistment Force and went to Fort Campbell, Kentucky for basic training, and then on to Fort Polk, Louisiana for some additional training before deploying on to Vietnam in January of 1970. Excuse me. He was part of the 101st Airborne Air Assault Screaming Eagles for deployment into Vietnam and served with the 2nd Battalion, 501st Infantry Unit, Charlie Company. He's going to tell you the story about why he was there, but I will tell you a couple of things that he did receive after that. He was awarded the Combat Infantry Badge, the Purple Heart, the Bronze Star for services throughout the A Shau Valley in Vietnam, which you're going to hear about today. And he was also awarded the Air Assault Award for heroic achievement during a battle operation at Fire Base Granite. After 3 years of active duty in the Army, he went on to graduate from Motlow State Community College and then on to University of Columbus in Georgia, and he graduated out with the rank of second lieutenant, where he then continued to serve for 26 more years in the Army National Guard. Today, Mr. Banks remains active in this community right here where we are today, helping fundraise for youth sports, baseball and football fields, and is a member of the quarterback club, and he's even made a few signs for us at Parks and Rec in between. So without further ado, I would like to introduce today your speaker, Mr. Kenny Banks. And if you'll allow me just a moment to mic him up real quick, then we'll get started.
Kenny's asked me to pray. If we could all pray. O sovereign Lord, one true God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, we thank you for the freedom that we have. We thank you for the life and the legacy King has shown before us in the example that he set before with love of country, love of family, love of community. Thank you for the sacrifice that he made, and even as he expressed to me, oh God, that you would give him the strength to say what he needs to say, and to recall and to recount his experiences, that we would learn from them, and that we, even as a people, would grow an appreciation for them. Lord, we thank you for that word sacrifice, that we can be made right with you, holy God, pure God, a just God. through the one true sacrifice of the Lord Jesus Christ. In His name we pray.
You should be good to go. Just put it back there somewhere. That'd be great. Woo. Golly, Bill. Grown men cry. Thanks everybody for being here. I'll get over this. Let me start with this. When I pledge allegiance to that flag, we'll get going. I do not say for which it stands. It's not an it, it's a she. And that's the way I say the Pledge of Allegiance, for which she stands. Anyway, thanks for being here. And if anybody has a question when I'm trying to do this, just raise your hand, and I'm trying to get through as much as I can. I think I'm about to get it. That picture there, I had been in country for about 30 minutes. I have a fresh uniform. I have a haircut. Didn't have much of a beard, but I was shaved. That was at the replacement station in Benoit. And from there, they assigned you to your unit. And I had been through advanced infantry school at Fort Polk, Louisiana, and we didn't get a chance to go on as an 11 Bush, an infantryman, to airborne school, to Ranger school. You can go to that next picture, please. I'll start it like this. In '68, President Nixon was withdrawing troops from Vietnam. And I was in the making and didn't know anything about it. I was still in high school. But he was making those withdrawals just to get the troops out of Vietnam. And he left the 101st, which was at full strength. And when I got to that replacement station, they called my name, and there were, thousands of guys out there just in an old mud field. And they said 101st Airborne Division. And I'm like, whoa. I said, I'm not jump qualified. But so were none of the other guys. They were just like me. When we got out of infantry school, Nixon wanted to strengthen the 101st that had been weakened from years in Vietnam. So that was great, but I got up to Camp Evans, which is up here. Where's my little deal? Camp Evans. That was the replacement station for the 101st Airborne, and you went through Peace School, which is physical training. And that meant they got you acclimated to the heat. Yeah, sure. And they taught you how to pack your rucksack. We rappelled off the towers. And thank God only one time did I have to rappel out of a helicopter. I'm not much on heights. And when you're standing back on those skids with nothing back there, that wasn't good, but I did it. And I remember the first night we were on guard duty, they showed you what to do. You know, just, hey, this is whatever. So I remember out in the distance, which wasn't real far from Granite and Ripcord, maybe 4 clicks, which is 2 miles maybe. But I saw this solid red laser, and I asked the guy that was with me, they gave me guys that were experienced there. And I said, what was that? And it was a Cobra, a gunship. Thank God for the Cobras, I love them. But he told me about that. So the next day, after we've gone through rappel training and all of that, they put us in a set of bleachers facing, just out this way. And there was enough concertina and razor wire that you could barely see through it. And the guy told me, the sergeant in charge, he says, this is your most biggest fear when you get to the bush. There were about 5 little guys on the other side there. You could see them, and they were solid camouflage black with black silk shorts and a shirt. And they had a little basket. It was called a satchel. And in that satchel were their satchel charges with C4, whether it be a half pound or a pound. And they were called sappers. It derived from a French word that was for a constructive engineer. And you think of an engineer go, these little guys set the way for the infantry. When they penetrated, the infantry of the NVA were behind those guys. And these little guys, they gave them a signal, and they came through that. They looked like little cobra snakes. They were about 5'2", 100 pounds. They came through. They took your trip flares, undid them. They took your claymore mines, which were facing the enemy, and they turned them around toward us. So when you're out in the field, if you popped your claymore, which you're always supposed to be behind a tree, but within 2 minutes, those guys were completely through that wire and were in your face looking at you. Boy, did that scare me. And I'm like, ooh, I got to do this for 10 or 11 months. But sappers were the most feared name of any soldier, including me. So with all that said, I made it out to Firebase Bastogne, wherever Bastogne is, right there. That was the 2nd of the 501st Infantry's Firebase. And from Bastogne, my Charlie company, who I was with, was out in the field, and we were working around Bastogne, no farther up than Strike. We were in this area right there, okay? And they introduced me at Bastogne, which was a big mistake. They no longer had the pineapple grenades. There was no more of this, like this. It was baseball grenades. They were about the size of a tennis ball. Had a little weight to them, not much, but I didn't have a bat on. But I loved those little things, and I got to throw about 200 of them that day just practicing. Hey, turn it loose. But anyway, when you left there, your rucksack, if you wanted your rucksack to weigh what you wanted it to, you're the one that had to tote it. So I loaded up on baseball grenades, smoke grenades, the M60 ammo. Every soldier had to carry 200 rounds of M60 for a machine gun. And I don't know, I probably had 30 rounds of M16 ammo. I had a bandolier, and the rest of it was in my rucksack. Had to have a red smoke grenade, a yellow smoke grenade, a green one, and a purple. But definitely a red and a green. And so I get out to the field. They get me out to Charlie Company, which is maybe a click out of Bastogne, which is maybe a half mile maybe. And that's where we were operating, keeping the mortars from the NVA from hitting Bastogne, okay? And I got out there, and about the second day, Sergeant Harmon, redheaded guy out of Georgia, a sharp soldier, and he introduced me to our Kit Carson Scout. And a Kit Carson Scout is an NVA soldier that has surrendered. Chuhoy. And I didn't know if I was going to trust this dude, an NVA soldier. So I took up big time with Took. Took was his name. And he had probably fought in that war. He looked to be about 30ish, and I'm 19. But anyway, Sergeant Harmon and Took taught me how to be a point man. And that means you're first in line leading your platoon through that path wherever your next coordinates was. And I'm like, whew, first in line, huh? But and you're going to hear some good stories about that in a little bit. But he was the best in the A Shaw Valley, Took, and this guy was teaching me how to stay alive if I'm walking point, which I did a lot. But, you know, I thought, well, I kind of know what to look for, you know, and listen and hear. But he would show me things that, and we followed the pass. That was the only way you had to get through a triple canopy jungle. If you tried to cut your way, you wouldn't get 50 feet all day. I mean, that's how thick the jungle was. But, of course, he told me, you know, watch. He said, not only there, but up for a sniper that's in a tree. Yeah, I can understand that. And, of course, listen. Well, you definitely listened. But he told me, you know, and your nose. Use your nose. And I'm like, okay. But it was for the smell of cooked rice. That's what the NVA soldiers ate. And we would find caches where they would have hundreds of pounds of rice, and that's what they lived on. And then we would get into it, you know, as we're walking. The trails were maybe 5, 6 feet wide, maybe a little wider, had a lot of hardwood trees also. But he would tell me, you know, just look at the leaves and dirt to see if somebody, you know, has been there. And I knew what the bottom of my sole looked like on my jungle boots. And he would show me a different footprint. And that was an NVA footprint with the bottom of their boots. But anyway, he worked with me every day, really. And told me to watch for the sides, broken twigs, just any leaf pulled off, maybe where an NVA soldier pulled it up. You know how you do it. But with him being the best in the A Shaw Valley, being a Kit Carson Scout, I paid very much attention to Took. Very much attention. And I had been out there maybe 3 days, and I knew I had too much in my rucksack, and I think Sergeant Harmon finally said, dude, what are you carrying? He got to looking around, he said, God, man, you got 30 grenades in there. I said, well, I like those things. And I did. But anyway, and you had to carry other things, you know, you had to have your Claymore mine. We did. 2 or 3 people had a law. It's an M72 law strap. You know, it's rocket propelled, but I didn't have one of those. But after we were through in this area, Bastogne, we would come back for 2 or 3 days and guard their perimeter. And then from Bastogne, most of the ARVNs, the Army Republic of Vietnam, this is the farthest south I ever got, was Normandy. The ARVNs were down more at Firebase, Henderson, Tavern, Catherine, and some of the others. There were about 5 down there, but they were farther in South Vietnam. And after we left Bastogne, we came to Normandy for 4 or 5 days out there. They wanted to reopen Normandy, the fire base. It was closed. It was still there, but there wasn't any radar or sensors, guns, supplies of anything. So we stayed around Normandy for, maybe 2 weeks, maybe, working around there because they had seen a lot of NVA activity down in that area. And they wanted to reopen the fire base. So we air salted into Normandy, and in the jungle they have these cleared areas that are about the half the size of this gym. It's where, the choppers could get us in and then get us out. And they're called landing zones, LZs. And we operated in there, and then we made our way up to Normandy. And we got there March 21st, which is today, 1970. And where they had blown the fire base, they put in napalm and to burn all around it so you have a good field of fire or site of fire. And when we got there, the bunkers that had been there, we started digging in, digging our bunker. And, you dig it about maybe 4 foot because, you got to be up to where you can do what you have to do. And, there were, go ahead. Okay, all this is where we were at Camp Evans, where we came back to guard their perimeter. I forgot all about the pictures. Go ahead. That's out in the field. I think that was maybe out around Firebase Bastogne. We'll go through some pictures and I'll get back to that one. I look like I'm about 10 here. I felt like 10, I think. But this was a cache that we came across. Those are rocket-propelled grenades. That looks like an SK-1. And I think there's an AK-47. There's a satchel right there that had the satchel charges. I don't know what that was. But anyway, go ahead. Let me see if this one's... You'll notice in most of these pictures that you're without your shirt, but I'll get into that some later. But over there was a little blue rope with a cross, and I don't think I ever took that off that I know of, and it's over there. Go ahead. That was Smack. I don't remember a lot of these guys' names, but he was a great little, he was a good little dude, and he usually walked point with me. He was the guy behind me. Okay, go ahead. Maybe filling up a canteen or just wading through or whatever. Who knows? But that's when we were moving somewhere. Go ahead. Everybody looks at this and they go, well, you just laid around and rested. But after I get into all this, you'll see during the day, you better catch some shut-eye because the NVA, they love to fight at night and they fought at night in the early morning hours. Go ahead. Okay, this will give you some idea of the terrain. The Ashall Valley. Wow, is this thing working? Is it okay? Yeah, who knows. But anyway, the Ashall Valley, it's 25 kilometers long, 30 miles. It's 5 miles wide, the valley itself. The Ho Chi Minh Trail was to the far west. That's where the NVA brought their supplies and everything from North Vietnam. That's the terrain. Some of those are like 2,000 feet above sea level in a triple canopy jungle. Some of them are 1,800, but they put the fire bases on the high points. Okay, go ahead. I wish I could remember. I don't know why I don't remember these guys' names. I do, some of them. I see Smack back there. No, right there. And I don't know a lot of these guys' names. And when we get into it, we lost a few of these boys. And that was Lieutenant Brubaker. He was from Florida. I remember him. And that was me dumb doing that. I don't know why I was doing that to him. But he was fairly new, and we'd been out there for a while. But go ahead. Again, during the day, leave that there for a second. But at Bastogne, we moved into Bastogne, and we were getting the tree parts and whatever we could get to put over our bunker. There were sandbags. We filled up a bunch of sandbags to give you overhead protection. But we had other things going with artillery coming in, food and whatever, that we didn't get overhead shelter that night. And all I had was my bunker. March 21st, 55 years ago today, I got wounded. I caught from an RPG, satchel charge, mortar, I don't know. But I know we got hit at about 12:30. And that was March 21st. And it went up here. I still have shrapnel up in here, which doesn't bother me. I'm okay. Oh, start out with, I'm not up here to toot my horn, and I'm not up here to ever be called a hero. There are 59,287 guys that lost their life. They're my heroes. They're my heroes. I'm not a hero. But I got hit, and it was 12:30 or 1 o'clock on March 21st during the night. And it felt like somebody hit me with a baseball bat, and I got up and I thought, wow. So, I stayed in the firefight, and all of a sudden I felt something hitting my boot. I thought, ooh. So I did this. It was just soaking wet, the blood. And didn't matter, maybe I would have bled out there, but I couldn't go anywhere. And after the firefight was over with, God, I didn't know what to do. I waited about 5 minutes because it's pitch dark. The command post tent is in the center of your perimeter, and you just don't go walking around at night, okay? You just don't. And I think I got out, and I forget exactly what I said, but, I'm like this trying to keep the blood from, bleeding. And I'm like, Sergeant Harmon. They had a little CP tent, and they had their little red lights in there studying our next move and what we were going to do. And I'm walking up there, and I thought, somebody is fixing to shoot me. And I probably would have shot what I saw, but thank God nobody shot me. I mean, I'm walking around inside our perimeter, and that just doesn't happen unless it's a sapper. I thought somebody's going to kill me. I finally made it to the CP tent. And that's when our combat medic, Doc Stone, you'll hear a lot about him in just a little bit, if I can get through that. Anyway, he took a swab, wooden, had a little cotton on the end, and he started doing this, and I watched it almost disappear. And I'm like, He pulled it back out, and of course, he put the field dressings on it and applied pressure to stop the bleeding. And I couldn't get medevaced out at night, okay? So next morning, maybe it was 7 o'clock, they kept me in the CP tent, and nobody did shoot me, thank God. But the medevac chopper, how do I do this? But anyway, the medevac chopper got there. And I come out and two other guys, one of them had a rucksack, one of them had a rifle, and I get up there, and of course you have two pilots, it's in a Huey, and you have two crew members. And they get out to get me on the chopper, and can everybody hear me? I don't know if they... Huh? Oh, for you. Well, where'd I put it? Yeah. Clay, come here, buddy. Clay. But, there you go. But anyway, I go to get on the chopper, and I don't know who it, but anyway, I had my rucksack and my M16. And those two guys were saying, I didn't know what that was. They said, you cannot bring any ammo, rifle, nothing. Well, I'm not going to tell you what I said, but I was a little bit ill. And Geneva Conventions, I'll never forget that guy looking at me and telling me that. And I said, let me tell you what, I've only been out in the bush for about 2.5 months, and I have seen everything flown from a medevac chopper get fired upon. And one of them went down, and I said, I'm taking my rucksack and I'm taking my rifle. No, you're not. No, you're not. I said, watch. Only had one arm then. But anyway, I think the commotion I was making, here comes Sergeant Harmon, and he's like, hey, dude. I said, are you kidding me? What if this chopper goes down? He says, I know. I understand, Banks. Everybody called last name or whatever, but he said, you can't do it. And it took about 5 more minutes before they convinced me to get on that medevac chopper. I finally did. But anyway, I made it back, Geneva Conventions. I still laugh about that. The Geneva Conventions, who followed the Geneva Conventions? The United States. Anybody else? No. So they got me back to Way, right there. Way is where the 85th Evac was and the 18th Surgical Hospital. And I wasn't feeling sorry for myself. I really wasn't. But, you know, hey, I'd been hit and, you know, I'm out. What's this going to do? Didn't do anything. I'm still living with it. Don't care. I've got it. So, anyway, it was like a mass unit. Remember, this is in 1970. It just looked like something like that. But a little bit better. They were wooden barracks or whatever. But when I went in, the doorway there, you know, and I'm whatever, and armless. God. God, there's about 20 bodies lined up, just laying on the floor. And I told myself, I said, I didn't feel sorry for myself, but those guys, you know, I wanted them to forget about me and take care of those guys. And I just, I see all these things like they were yesterday. But I stayed back in the rear for 3 weeks at Camp Eagle. That's where the 501st was, the rear guys. And I'm not going to tell you what we called them. But anyway, they were guys back that got a shower, hot meals, never even saw the jungle. But that's okay. That was their job. And now, after I get back out, we have left Normandy, and now we're up at Granite Ripcord up in this area, Gladiator, okay? And this is where it was. This is where it was. And we're not far from the DMZ, okay? And this is where the NVA, of course, brought down all their stuff. And we were trying to cut off the A Shaw Valley Ho Chi Minh Trail supply route, okay? And being out here, 25,000 NVA troops. 25,000. And I'm finding all of this stuff out in the last 2 or 3 years. A guy walked into my store and he had on a ripcord cow. And you can ask him, I never told, a soldier would come in and it would say that, and you can ask him, the first thing I would do is get up and shake his hand and say, thanks for your service. Not once, I don't think that I ever told one, hey, me too. 55 years it's here, I never told anybody. I've already said it, including my family. Never did. I just didn't want to. But anyway, 25,000 NVA troops. The 101st was at full strength, and that's why they kept us there. The 4th Infantry, the 9th Infantry, the 1st Cav, the 25th Electric Strawberry, those infantry units had been withdrawn back to the States. Most of them. So it was the 101st to take this A Shaw Valley, which this still is the A Shaw Valley, but most of it north, okay? That's where all the fighting was. And if I can get this out, let me see. In the 101st, we had the Arvins were down here. Not many of them worked with us. Artillery. 4th Battalion of the 77th. 1st Battalion of the 319th. 2nd Battalion of the 319th. Then we had the 326 Medical Battalion. Now, we're getting into the aviation. We had the 101st Aviation. These were the Cobra gunships. We had the 158th Aviation, and we had the 159th Aviation battalions. Then we get into the infantry boys. We had 5th Special Forces, and we're all up here. We had the 5th Special Forces. We had Company L, 75th Rangers. We had the 2nd of the 17th Cav, Troop Command, and Air Support. They were Air Cav, and they also had their Troop Command. Then we had 1st of the 327th, 2nd of the 327th, 1st of the 187th, 2nd of the 182nd, 1st of the 501st, 2nd of the 501st, 1st of the 502nd, and 2nd of the 502nd. And I don't know how many men that is, but that was our division. And now we're nowhere near that. We may have 10,000, but there's 25,000 NVA troops 25,000. And not only that, 20 million gallons of Agent Orange were put in the A Shaw Valley in Vietnam. And I got a good dose of it, a real good dose. But anyway, I have diabetes from that, but I don't care. I've told everybody I don't care. I shouldn't even be standing here, and only by the grace of God am I standing here. And that's why I don't care. If I die, I would love to die with a bullet saving somebody's life, or I would love to die pulling somebody out of a swift water in the river. And that's the way I want to die. I don't know if I'll ever get to, but that's the way I would love to die. I was trying to do that there, but what I know about the politics and what they were doing to us now that I even know about it. I didn't know about this stuff. I wish I did then. I don't know what I would have done. Hamburger Hill. This is when Nixon decided to build up the 101st and go. This was also called the Valley of Death, A Shaw Valley. And after Hamburger Hill, I'm going to read this. Oh, hit a picture there. Oh, here we go. Neat little story before I get into this. You see that Schlitz beer? We had one great first sergeant. He was in the back, but every 2 weeks in our platoon were, let's say, you know, somebody would get wounded and whatever, I'm not going to say, but we had anywhere between 30 and 35. He knew how many we had, and if there were 35, he would send out 35 hot beers. Schlitz, Hams, Pearl. And I would drink my beer sometimes. Sometimes I wouldn't. But if you did not drink that beer, he said, I will come out there and get your rear end. You pour it out. You did not give a guy 2 beers because he had my back, I had his back. And they didn't want anybody having 2 beers, you know, hey. But I drank a few of my beers, but I poured out a lot of them. I can tell you that. I wasn't much on Schlitz and whatever. If it had been a Budweiser, I'd probably drank it. But anyway, that's what he's got there, that Schlitz. Go ahead. American, there's the good old 101st patch, and I wish I'd brought my flag, but that patch, the NVA had never, ever seen a bald eagle, okay? We were called, and when I heard this, I'm like, we were called the Chicken Man, because it looked like a chicken. So anyway, that's what we were called. Go ahead. M60, of course, that's me, and I remember that guy's first name, I think, was Jack. But go ahead. I'm forgetting the pictures. Oh, we were on Firebase Granite, I believe, or Bastogne, but we were coming up and we were fixing to get air salted out. And I came up and I couldn't get my rucksack off fast enough to get my little Intimidatic 26. And I hollered at these guys. I said, girls. They about broke their neck. Look, you can see what they're doing. They didn't believe me. And all of a sudden it was like, wow, a girl. What's a girl? But anyway, go ahead. That's probably once every 2-month bath, maybe, if you can call it that. Oh, our fatigues, our clothes, they would bring them. Oh, here we go. One more, and I'll get from here. But Hamburger Hill, 1 year earlier was Hamburger Hill, okay? And this was the political, and I don't know what kind of taste I have in my mouth anymore, sweet, sour. I just don't know with what they did to us. I would do it again if I was asked to, but please don't treat us like you did then. It was the political reason additional troops were kept from being sent to Ripcord with us, the 101st, for fear that the press would hear about it in America. And the last dadgum sent us here. This left the Americans there on and around Ripcord. I told you Ripcord Granite. This left the Americans there and on around Ripcord in great danger. And I'm thinking, well, okay. And I didn't know all this then. I've only found it out. You can Google and look at any of this. And when I saw it, I just couldn't believe. I didn't want to believe it. But that was the political part about this war that I've only learned of lately. I know all the things that went on, but why? 25,000 NVA troops, one division up there, and I just, I don't know. I'm just not sure. Everybody knows Chuck Norris. His brother was killed up there, KIA. But, you know, I see the numbers, and I'm just, by the grace of God, am I here again? By the grace of God. I don't know how I'm here, to be truthful with you. I know how President Trump felt. Suzanne came running down the stairs. I said, President Trump got shot. Is he dead? I said, no. If he'd been hit, he would have gone down like a sack of rocks. I saw when he went down. I said, no, they didn't. I promise you, they didn't kill him. But we would get back to fatigues. They would bring out clean fatigues. Whoopee, how long were they going to be clean? You know, maybe every 2 weeks. Well, guess what we did? Left them stacked up at the LZ and the chopper pilot. We threw them back in there and said, we don't want them. I think the only time I got some was when, you know, knees and your rear end was wearing or whatever. But as far as food, every 3 days we got a 9-meal log, sea rations. And if I had sea rations now stacked up in my garage, I would eat them 3 times a day. I love them. I love them. Took would... he would pick little green leaves and vines and sticks and put in his sea rations. Oh, Took and I were pretty big buddies, and after I really got to trust him, it didn't take long, but, you know, he was an NVA soldier, and I'm like, So I put them in there, and it was good. Care packages got. Mother and Daddy would send me Slim Jims, beef jerky, hot sauce. That was real good in the sea rations. But every 3 days we got a 3-day log. That's 9 meals. That's what you had. We'd get some LURPs every once in a while, long-range patrol supplement, I believe, and they were dehydrated, and you would heat your water up in your little canteen cup, and they were good, but we always got sea rations, and which I say I love, and water. The only day I knew it was Monday is when Doc Stone would come around, and he would give me like everybody looked like a big horse pill, malaria pill. That's only. It's Monday, huh? I didn't know what day it was. Didn't really care, but. Water purification tablets. In here, yeah, you may fill your canteen up, and we didn't know it was in there. Probably Agent Orange. It didn't matter. We drank it. Sometimes I would put a water purification tablet in there. Oh, there's my cross again. I tried to wear that thing all the time. But they would bring out from the fire base. The artillery came in canisters, metal canisters, and they would fill it up with water and bring it out if they couldn't get to us, and throw it through the jungle, and we'd get it, open it up, and fill it up, and got some good black gunpowder, and I loved it. I always wanted the black gunpowder water. Maybe made you mean, Coach. What do you think? But anyway, that's the way we got water and food. Go ahead. Let me go to this story now that I see that. You can leave it up there. Can you go back about 2 pictures? Go ahead. Go ahead. Whew. Probably one more, and then we'll go back to that one. Go back. Oh, right there. His name is Ard, A-R-D. Now you can go back to wherever we were. Okay. Maybe April, second week in April, let's say. I don't remember the date, but like I say, they love to fight at night. That's just the way it was. And whenever it got dark, my rear end tightened. And I've been real good. I haven't said a bad word, and I'm not going to. But it did. Because these guys like to fight at night. And when you would see us resting during the day, you were trying to get a little wink eye, because you knew at night, you didn't get a lot of sleep at night. Seems like every other night, third, fourth, you were going to get hit. You were going to get hit. And anyway, Ard, it was about second week of April. I know it was. But we got hit pretty hard one morning. And I was Ard's assistant gunner. He had that M60 right there, okay? And, of course, being right-handed, he was here, and I was laying down right beside him. And the next thing I know, I hear that commotion. Oh! By the grace of God, I don't know how I'm here. He got hit in the legs. My legs are right beside his. I'm laying right beside him, feeding the ammo in the M60. Matter of fact, my legs are touching his legs. And he got hit in the legs. And anyway, since I was the assistant gunner then, he was the gunner, he got medevac back, then I got to take that thing right there, the M60. 23 extra pounds. 23 extra pounds. And had to carry more M60 ammo. Everybody had 200 rounds of M60. And at night, when I was his assistant gunner, we would get everybody's 200 rounds. And I mean, we had 60 ammo. I had it linked up and stacked up, chained up. Because that M60 was a lot of firepower. And anyway, I carried that for, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks, and then somebody else would take it over and sort of give you a break, and then you get your 16 back. But it was just a lot of extra weight, 23 pounds, and you'd grab that tripod and it would go over your shoulders. You didn't walk around like this. But I finally, oh, there's my little cross again. It's right over there, love it. And then, I can't remember the exact date, April 27th maybe, at about, again, 1 in the morning. A night defensive perimeter. Did I tell you what that was? Anyway, it's an NDP, and that's where we set up at night, okay? And we have 2-man positions that go all the way around the perimeter. And that's where we set up our NDP. And from out there, you put your claymore out whatever distance you wanted to, maybe 20, 30 feet. And a claymore mine is a little concave dude that's a bad mosquito. It's like this, so the field of fire and the kill zone is like this, not like this. So you get it out, you get your trip flare out in front of it, and that trip flare goes off, you've got a little firing device. But you get behind a tree because has that little sapper dude turned my claymore mine around? Okay? So you get behind a tree before you ever even fire it, because even the back blast is bad. You still need to be behind a tree no matter what. And I love the claymore mines. They were neat, but was it pointed at you? Back to this, we got hit that night, 1:30, 3, I don't know. But we got hit pretty good, but I knew our Alpha company was maybe 200 meters from us, which not real far, but it is if you're trying to get to them. Well, after we got hit and everything kind of settled down, we were called to go to them. And communications was pretty good, the PRC-25s and command posts back in the back, and they knew where we were, we knew where other companies usually were. But it was our Alpha company, and they were called Hard Luck Alpha for one big reason. God, they got they were always in the mix of it. We were too, but not like Alpha company. But we were called to go to Alpha company when it got daylight, and we knew that we were okay, but we never were. Even walking point, I always knew that I had sappers and the infantry out there, because how did they know right where we were all the time? I know they did. So we made it over to Alpha Company. In Alpha Company, I had 3 buddies that I went through advanced infantry school with and on to Oakland to get shot up and paid and go to Vietnam. Willis, Workman, and Poppy. And we could tell, I could tell, anybody could tell with what went on over there for, seemed like for an hour. It wasn't that long, but it was a long time. They got hit very hard, very hard. And like I say, I had those 3 buddies, and we got over there. We started walking in their NDP, and I'm sort of looking to see if I can eyeball any of these guys. And I started talking to some others, and they said, yeah, I think Poppy's, down there or whatever. And it says in this report, these things, some of the numbers are unbelievable. It said one time that we had 14 wounded. No, we did not. That would be half our platoon. I think we had about 4 wounded that day. But anyway, I get on down, and whew. There it is again, 3 body bags. And I thought, well, the first guy said, well, Poppy's down there. And I just kept looking around, and I mean, we had 3 KIAs right there, and I shouldn't be this, but my 3 buddies made it. But we had 3 that were dead right there. And I was wanting my buddies to be alive, but there's 3 soldiers too, so that wasn't good. And there's some of those things that it was like it was yesterday, and I think this is why I'm doing this, for my family. And by the way, thank all y'all for being here if I haven't said that, but only by the grace of God am I here. And don't know why I'm here, to be truthful with you. Every day I pledge allegiance to that flag, which is a she. I say the Lord's Prayer probably 20 times. Nobody hears me. I don't have to pray out loud, but I do. Because I know, I don't know why I am here. I don't know if this is my destiny. I haven't figured it out yet. But anyway, and from there, out around here, Firebase Granite, we were on it a time or two. They started having a lot. I think they got hit like 9 nights in a row, 3 or 4 times a night. So the good old 2nd of the 501st Infantry is doing an air assault by choppers, rode in a ton of those, from here to maybe a click or so out of Firebase Granite. I'm on the first chopper that day. You know, I don't know. I don't remember Sergeant Harmon said, "Hey, you whatever." I just got on the first chopper. Hey, that thing came in that LZ. Let me on that boy. So, hey, where's it going to take me? But I knew where it was taking us. I knew because they kept us pretty well informed out in the field of where our companies were, what had been going through, what the intelligence said about the NVA, what units they were, because the patches from them would tell you if it's the 9th Regiment or the 346. So we knew what we were fixing to get into right here, but we didn't. I'm on the first chopper, and if you're on the first chopper, you got your green smoke grenade, and you got your Roddy red over here, okay? And I got screwed up when we went into that thing that day, but I'll tell you why in a second. But anyway, I'm on the first chopper that day. And, you know, we're just sitting in it. You put your feet on the skids and look down, look out, and just, you know, if you fall off, you fall off, you know, that's ain't no big deal. And you're way up there. So anyway, I, you know, enjoy the view sometimes, what little bit of time you can enjoy anything. We weren't far from that landing zone, and it wasn't one like we usually go in with all the wood and blown up trees. It was the maybe 5 or 6 foot tall elephant grass, I believe. And anyway, I'm just sitting there, whatever, and you know, we're probably 10 seconds from getting on the ground. And maybe we're 4 or 5 foot off the ground, I don't remember. But I remember that M60 machine gunner, he works out the LZ before you go in with an M60 on both sides. And I happened to be on the left side of that chopper that day. And he worked it out. And I mean, you're sitting right there watching bullets go right in front of your nose, you know, so you don't want to lean out too far. But I heard, get out. And we were taking fire. AK-47s, whether it be aerial rocket, I don't know, but we were taking fire from small arms. And it was, get out. And in other words, get out, we want out of here, okay? Because, you know, they shoot the chopper down, get out. So I'm out, and I know immediately it's a hot LZ and landing zone, and I know immediately to throw that red smoke grenade. But for some reason, I'm over here, you know, because if you're right-handed, you want to get it here and throw it. And here it is over here, and I'm trying to stick that green. But I finally got my red smoke grenade out, and I think the radio operator did on the other side because we had the radio with us. And when you hit a hot LZ, 5 guys, sometimes 6 are in the chopper. So we would have 5 or 6 Hueys taking us into this landing zone. Okay? And that was our 30, 32, 3-man, whatever. Well, when you hit a hot LZ, And they're lined up back here to come into that LZ. The other choppers, they see red smoke, guess what? Bye. They're not going to come into that hot LZ. So now we've got, let's say, 5 guys on the ground. 5. And we had me, we had the gunner, the assistant gunner, the radio operator. Sergeant Harmon might have been on there. Can't remember. But anyway, it's us. It's us. And I don't know what's out there, but of course we start returning fire, and you know, and of course me, it's not funny, but hey dude, where my baseball grenades? I'm throwing the heck out of baseball grenades and returning fire or whatever. And I'm thinking, there's nothing we can do here with 5 guys. I don't know what the NBA did. I would have thought there's much more if they'd seen. They would know, hey, there's only 5 guys out there. Grace of God, they didn't. That went on, seemed like for hours, and I can't even remember if it was 15 minutes, 10, who knows, I don't know. But that was right in front of Firebase Ripcord, and like I say, they had been hit real bad. That's why we were going in there. And I couldn't wait for somebody to tell me to throw a green smoke grenade to let those guys know it's safe. Come on. Finally got the other 25 or so guys in there, and of course, we did a lot there, but we didn't take any more fire that day. I don't know if it was just 3 or 4 guys and they took off. I have no clue. But anyway, 3 or 4 days we were there, and then we head off back down from there, wherever the activity was. Being a frontline infantry unit, where it was is where we were headed. So I don't know if it was this way or what, but I'm thinking it was back down this way. We stayed in front of Granite, the best I can remember. May 5th, 1970. Was not a good day. We made it out of the monkey grass. It was not much, wasn't a real big area of monkey grass, but then we made it back into the hardwoods and the jungle. And hey, go ahead and run another picture through. Oh, this is sort of a silhouette at night. It's kind of what you had to face with at night, and I didn't want to see anything like that in front of me at night. Go ahead. Old chicken man. I was a chicken man right there. I'm glad they said because it looks like a chicken, not that we were chickens. But anyway, go ahead. That just shows the terrain of the Ashaw Valley. I mean, it was just, there was no winning. It would have been endless. And, you know, I've read that at the last and tell you how we got extracted. Go ahead. There's that little dude right there. You didn't want to get close to that big boy, I can tell you that. But he had a sniffer on him, and used him for a little while. Then he would go to another company. He didn't stay with us much, but it was a good pup. Go ahead. Again, sitting around during the day, I mean, you know, you just, I'm going to get back to May 5th, don't forget it. We usually started guard duty, let's say, we had 2-man positions, and we would start guard duty at, let's say, 10 o'clock. So let's say I took it from 10 to 12. Then I'd wake the other guy up, and he'd take it from 12 to 2, and he'd wake me up, and I'd take it from 2 to 4, and then I'd wake him up, and he'd go 4 to 6, and that was 8 hours, and then it's daylight, or close to it. But again, you were hit every night, and you just couldn't, almost every night. So you didn't get much sleep, but during the way, if you could catch a wink, You tried to, because you knew you were going to be up most of the night. And God dang it, don't tell me why soldiers don't snore. They didn't. And I snored. Isn't that right, Suzanne? Oh, my wife, she has put up with me for 55 years. She raised 5 kids, the 5th one's me. She'll tell you that. And no problem, I am crazy, and I have a good reason to be crazy. I just go about each day. That's just me. I think a lot of these boys here are ball players, and everybody knows I'm a pretty crazy guy. So, but I've got a good excuse. I really do. I really do. So, those were our shelter halves, and when it rained, we would usually have our steel pot in there to catch some good rainwater. If I could think about it, was it good rainwater washing all that Agent Orange out of the sky and trees? And I do not like Dow Chemical Company. I do not like Dow Chemical Company. Tell me a herbicide can do that to a triple canopy jungle and not hurt a person? Tell me. Tell me. Okay, May 5th. Oh boy. We went in a low point, and everybody's kind of like, I don't know about this. After we got in there pretty good, all of a sudden, after it was over with, I found out our point man had started fire. And of course, when he did, I've never seen or heard, and this was very close range, of AKs going off. We had walked into an ambush. First one and only one, but we had walked into it. And that was from all the activity around Granite that they knew probably where we would be moving, and they did. And they triggered an ambush. And I was 20 yards from our medic, Doc Edward Stone. He got killed in action. And we had 2 other guys wounded, Sergeant Harnage, not Harmon, Harnage, and I can't remember the other guys' names. I've forgotten all of them. I can't believe it. Hey, in just a second after, say Dad, banana split, okay? Say banana split. Anyway, I'll tell you in a minute. Okay, we're where there's no landing zone. And the Hueys dropped down the jungle penetrators. Go ahead. That's just catching a little fun and resting away. Oh, I don't know if that was a beer or Coke, but that was my one hot beer for 2 months, I guess. I don't know. I have no clue. But anyway, I'm a little cross again. Go ahead. We had a company photographer with us that would take your camera and make pictures. And he'd give it back to you and all of that good stuff. But that one wasn't too good. I don't know. Go ahead. Okay, here we go. This wasn't in the ambush, but we'll go over this. There's Sergeant Harmon with that old red Georgia hair. Anyway, go ahead. Back again. Go forward. I was wanting to find my jungle penetrator. But anyway, Had we seen a jungle penetrator? No. Anyway, we're putting, and it wasn't in this ambush, this was another time. We're putting him on the jungle penetrator. I think he had got shot in the upper thigh. But anyway, we were loading up one of the soldiers. I took this picture, but anyway, go ahead. That's just a typical landing zone. You can see how it is where the choppers have a trail in and out. Go ahead. There we go. Okay, that was the, God, I wish I knew these guys' names. They were my buddies for 10 months and I don't even remember. But that's 55 years ago. But anyway, that jungle penetrator it's 3-forked or whatever, and you get on it if you're able and grab that cable and they snatch you up to that medevac chopper and get you back to the 85th. Go ahead. This is Firebase Granite. This is where we're doing a 3-day stand down. I don't know what month this was. April, May. No, not March. Yeah, it could have been. But anyway, yeah, it is March. I see it right there. This is where we would guard that fire base for 3 days. Then Alpha Company would come in, Bravo Company or whatever. And which you knew there, you were going to hit at night. Mortars, they shelled every fire base we had continuously. Go ahead. I almost look clean there. What's going on? Go ahead. Oh, yeah, I got that coming, dude. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, this is, let's stay right there. But anyway, after the firefight was over at the ambush, Sergeant Harnage and whatever the other, I can't remember, after we got them up in the medevac chopper with the jungle penetrator. Doc Stone, I can't remember if anybody even had a body bag, but if we didn't, they would take the shelter hats. And they were, I don't know, 8 foot by 5 foot. And that's, get them in that. Got that done. And there was some kind of hook came down. It wasn't the jungle, it might have been the jungle penetrator, but I don't know why they did this. They pulled him up with just his body dangling, and before they got him up in the chopper, I cussed those guys. And maybe they had to do what they had to do. I understand why those pilots had to get out of there, or they would get shot down. If they hit the fuel cell, it was down. They left him dangling 15 feet below the chopper. And I didn't know what was fixing to happen. Well, the chopper left. And he's on this rope dangling back here. And I told him, I said, I will see you one day, buddy. And I haven't yet. I haven't gone up to I haven't gone to Illinois. I know where he's buried. Kim looked it all up, and dadgummit, I haven't gone yet. And I talked to his son. His son was 6 months old when his daddy in January 70 went to Vietnam. And his son has no clue what his dad did. And I just wanted to tell the family what he did, how he operated, and that I was with your dad when he got killed. But he never called me back, and I just didn't carry on with it. But I can go Peoria, wherever it was in Illinois. I can't remember, Kim. But Kim found out the cemetery. He found out the plot or whatever, the grave. And I haven't gone up yet. And but I am. Maybe after I've done this, maybe it's time to go see that boy. But anyway, we lost our combat medic. And he was the dude that took care of us. Maybe saved my life with pushing Suzanne at church one time, a revolutionary doctor. A guy got hit, and that doctor stuck his finger in that wound and stopped the bleeding. And I know Doc had his finger up in there pretty far. I didn't even really think about it, but he had it up in there pretty far. So he really saved my life and stopped the bleeding. But I'm going to Illinois. I'm going. All right. Then we're still out in here now, okay? I think we air salted on up farther south of Ripcord, and maybe southeast Ripcord, right in there. And like I say, Took made me a pretty good point man. I'm not patting myself on the back, but I paid attention to that guy. And another time he saved my life, I'll tell you, or I wouldn't be here. But where we air assaulted was definitely probably some of the worst we'd been in up on the east side of Ripcord, other than down here at the southeast of it. But old Kenny Banks's point was a lot, but that was a pretty hostile area, big time. By the grace of God, I tell you, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be. I take point, and Smack's behind me. Go ahead. That was the cache with all those. That's Smack right there. Isn't that funny that came up? That is Smack. I was point, and Smack was behind me, and we dispersed maybe, I don't know, 10 foot, spread out with one grenade wouldn't kill y'all. But anyway, I'm doing my thing. I've been taught by Took, best in the A. Shaw Valley. And I'm doing good. And I am eyeballing, smelling, sniffing like an old coon dog, bottom line. And anyway, I don't know how long we'd been moving. I don't even know if we'd stopped for a break. I can't remember. But I heard Smack say, Kenny. And I turned around and looked. Yeah. And he walks up to me. And he says, the CEO wants to go faster. And Smack and I look at each other. I knew what he's going to say. I knew definitely what I was going to say. The commanding officer wasn't thinking that day. I had no clue. He had an 8-digit grid coordinates that he wanted us set, okay? And if we made it good, if we didn't, I didn't care. It was my speed or nobody's. And I'm just not going to go flying up through there, No way. And I really lost my religion right there. And God, You tell. You tell the CO. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Smack said enough. I said, all right, dude. So it came back to Smack, then to me, and I don't think it ever made it to the CO. If it made it to Sergeant Harmon, which I think it did, it stopped right there, and he passed up with the speed. Okay? But also said, after I let him have it, I said, I tell you what, Smack, tell him we'll go faster after I eat my banana split here. Smack said, really? I said, really, with all due respect. So anyway, I was always looking for a Jiffy Dip or a Dairy Queen, but I never found one out there. So anyway, I went my pace. We may have had to be in at that 8-digit grid coordinates, but I didn't care. And I think I told him if he wants to go faster, get him up here. And then he can do his little marathon, have at it. Okay? But I'm not. And I didn't. And I won't. That was, he wasn't thinking that day. Or it got to Sergeant Harmon before him, but Sergeant Harmon would have never told me that. And anyway, we got back not long after that to a NDP that we had, okay? A night defensive position. And when we got back there and got in it, of course, we had dug fire pits where we would try to burn everything. And when we got back in there, we were just looking around. Sure enough, the NBA troops had been there because they don't have old footprints. And for some stupid reason, I went over and I was going to reach in that fire pit. Don't know why, there was nothing worth having. It felt like Superman had me by the back of my collar and slung me. It was Took, the little 5'2", 100-pounder. How he did that, I'll never know. But he came yapping, and I don't know Vietnamese, but there's no telling what he said, what he called me. I have no clue. I do remember Buku Dinkedal. That means you were darn crazy, boy. So anyway, we blew that fire pit, and there was a secondary explosion. It had been booby-trapped probably by the NBA. And if it hadn't been for Took, he was smart. He was so good. He saw me, and it didn't take him a second, and he threw me like a little rag doll. And I would have died right there, I know, because it was a secondary explosion. And Took was, I wish I knew that guy was still alive. I would go to South. No, I wouldn't either. No, I wouldn't. I've been asked to go to Vietnam to play golf. Travis knows by who, Kenny Saunders. It took me 1 second to answer him. And there were 2 words. One of them was no. And I could see me, and he told me how plush and all this and this. I could see me teeing it up, swinging my driver, and I hit an unexploded ordnance. And now I get killed in Vietnam. So I said, no way. I left out of there. I'm not going back. Am I doing good on time?
1:23.
Oh, God. Okay, hey, anyway, go ahead and run through those pictures and let them see the others. And I have got to tell this story. And I've left out 2 or 3. But anyway, we get back. We come out of there mid-July or whatever, go back to Eagle and all of that, and then I leave December 5th. I got a Christmas drop to come home. Thank you, Mr. Sam. But we get back to Fort Lewis, and God dog, you get your nice green dress greens, and which I didn't like. I would rather have my jungle fatigues, but they get you all fixed up, give you travel pay, feed you whatever you want to eat, and there was a lot of ice cream there. And they get you on the big green bus to take you to Seattle-Tacoma Airport. And got your duffel bag. I went back to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Our colors were still in Vietnam, but I went to Fort Campbell. And we get off the bus, we got our duffel bags, and we're headed into the terminal to get our ticket. And go ahead. That may be somebody else going up. That was the first day I got to Vietnam. That was the big jet that took me over there. But anyway, and I knew that big jet or one of them was sitting on the other side of this terminal to take me back to Tullahoma, Tennessee. Remember, this is in 70, and we start going to the terminal, and I'm not going to call them what I want to, but the hippie yippies and blah, 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 with all their little signs, and I didn't appreciate. And those guys there with the little silk pajamas or skirts or whatever they were, I don't know, with their long, long, long hair. And I don't like long hair, but that's yelling at us and protesting the war and all of that good stuff. I don't, there 15 or 20 of them. And the first three I saw, I gave them a name. I called them Ortez, Bernard, and Theodore. And I didn't like those guys. They didn't like me. I wouldn't do anything to them. I just wanted to go get on that airplane. But Ortez, Bernard, and Theodore kept eyeballing me. And I wasn't smiling. They were yapping and whatever. And I had my old duffel bag there, and, I had to walk right in front of them by them. But I looked at my uniform, and I'm a soldier, and we've got civilians and children walking to go to the terminal too. If we hadn't, I don't know what I would have done, but Ortez, Bernard, and Theodore, I don't know what their names are, that's what I call them. I had already zeroed in on that 16-inch hair. Thank God I didn't do it. But I was wanting to take these guys. I was, and I knew within a split second I could drop my duffel bag. I mean, I'm close, and I could get that hair, and I wanted to sling him as far as I could to see what he had on in under that little silk skirt or whatever it was. But I didn't. Welcome home, Kenny, from these boys. We get into the terminal. We know when the flight's going to whatever go to Nashville. The lady says, well, it's full. The coach is full. What about military standby? Well, we'll put you on that. But I don't know. And I don't know. How much first class? She told me. And it was a lot. I didn't have that much money. I had travel pay. I said, I'm taking it. I'm going home. And I paid whatever the extra amount was or anyway. And got on that plane. And first class, I've never flown first class. Still haven't had my boys. I don't think so. Anyway, what would you like to drink? I didn't know. I don't know. I'll take me a good old cup. Well, what do you have? Anything you want and as much as you want. And I'm like, ooh, lady. Ooh, lady. I was a pretty good kid, though. I might have had a cold beer. maybe a shot of whiskey. I don't know. I deserved whatever I wanted. So, but I had to pay extra to get home, and I'm like, no military standby. Can't you give me that and charge me for military standby? Because there's all these empty seats in first class. But that didn't happen. And I still got on that plane, headed home. And I got home December 5th, and that's when my wife, that weekend, we had been writing a lot. And I knew from 1966, I worked at Jimmy Fair's. I delivered a delivery to 908 Brack Circle. Is that right, Suzanne? And she was standing in that glass, and she was 3.5, 4 years younger than me. And don't ask me why. I said, I'm going to marry that girl one day. And we rode in Vietnam, but I did. I said, I'm going to marry that girl one day. And I ended up marrying that girl, and we started dating when I got back. And her mom and dad didn't like that. They didn't like me, but God, I love them to death now, even though they're gone. But they just did not like that. Which is all right. I understand. Don't you, Suzanne? Huh? Do what? Too old. Yeah. I guess so. Whatever. But anyway, and then 55 years later, here we are, and she wrote me, and when we would get the mail, you know, the guys, yeah, and sometimes we couldn't get it. They held it up, but when they could, they got it to us, and I'd tell some of those guys, yeah, this is from my wife. I wasn't married. I'd say, this is from my wife. Sort of kept me going, to be truthful with you. This is sort of, when you got like that, you know, 3 or 4 foot, those skids, and you're out of there. You better get out of there, because that's our company got there, and that photographer took that. It was in the Army Times or whatever. C Company, 2nd 501st. And I know we have to go, and I don't know how I made it through this and think I'm going to keep talking. I thought I'd be, yay, it's over with. But I got a lot of other stuff, and I may get it out there one day. We'll see. But again, only by the grace of God, I know. I know. I know. And why me? I have no clue. But again, those 59,000 or whatever, I'm not a hero. They are my heroes. And always will be. And any other soldiers that have died in wars, but I fought with those guys. So anyway, the Battle of Ripcord, it was called Texas Star Operation. With the Battle of Ripcord the last 23 days. And I got wounded, like I say, 9 days into the battle. My little rear end went down where I got wounded. But I got back in the battle and stayed in it. But then the Americans pulled off of Ripcord. And I watched it get overrun 2 or 3 times after they got off of it. They carpet bombed it with B-52s. And then the NVAs took it over, Hamburger Hill, after they lost like 100 soldiers from the 101st, 86, I believe. In 2 days, they abandoned it, and the North Vietnamese took it over again. So we were never taking any land moving on north. It was, well, we're going to take that hill. We don't care if we lose 86 men and give it up. I never understood it. I still don't understand it, and I'll never understand it. And that's just a large number of NVA troops, 25,000. And they were good soldiers. The sappers were the best, and I hope I never see a sapper again. If I do, that'll probably be my last day on earth right there, because I'll probably have a heart attack, without a doubt. Anyway, hey. Same day as my wife, or same year. Go ahead.
And our class is the first one to not be able to birthday's February 4th. And that's 35 days from being eligible to be part of those 59,287 people that gave their life to our country.
Well, you might have not been, Patrick. You'd made it.
I can hardly sit through this. And the word Vietnam makes me feel guilty.
Don't feel guilty, dude.
Let me finish.
All right. All right.
You said 2 or 3 times that you're not a hero. But I'm going to tell you right now, Big Boy, you're my hero. You're our hero.
Hey, I'll be like, thank you guys. Thank you guys. I've got so much more. And again, how I got through this today, don't ask me, but I did. I did. And next time you say the Pledge of Allegiance, I don't know what I'm going to try to do. I thought about it, whether I write my congressman. That is not an it. And it never will be in my book. That's a she right there. And I never say for which it stands, never. It's for which she stands. And that's just me. But I am crazy, but I'm alive, and thank God.
Hey, Kenny.
Hey,
So, you said you were the person that went out first.
point man.
Most of the time, that's called forward observer. True?
No.
It's not the forward observer.
A point man is leading his platoon. A forward observer might be a scout, recon. That's a recon. They're look out to forward observe way on out. Yeah.
They said it makes the life expectancy on those was 15 minutes.
I don't know about that, but I believe you. I don't think so, though. There weren't many forward observers in Vietnam. You just didn't put one man out there. But anyway, whatever.
Look here.
Huh?
Good job, Kenny.